My father stood up in the middle of my sister's wedding reception, raised his glass in front of 200 guests, and announced that he was still paying my college tuition. The room filled with polite laughter. People looked at me with pity. My sister smirked. My mother looked proud. They thought they were putting me in my place. What nobody in that room knew was that I hadn't needed their tuition money in months. I'd already graduated. I already had a career. And I was already earning more than the groom sitting right next to their golden child. So when my father handed me the microphone expecting a thank you speech, he accidentally handed me something far more dangerous, the truth. Within the next 5 minutes, the whole wedding changed. My sister Emily had been the center of my parents' world for as long as I could remember. When she got a B in middle school, they hired her a tutor. When I graduated near the top of my class, they said congrats at dinner and moved on. When Emily wanted a new car at 18, my father made it happen. When I needed money for textbooks, I picked up weekend shifts at a grocery store. That was just how things worked in our house. Emily wasn't a bad person, exactly. She just grew up believing the world revolved around her, because everyone around her acted like it did. My parents praised every little win, excused every mistake, and treated every milestone in her life like a holiday. Meanwhile, I learned early that if I wanted something, I had to earn it myself. I focused on school, chased scholarships, worked part-time. While Emily spent weekends at parties and expensive dinners, I spent mine studying or saving. Not glamorous, but it worked. By college, most of my tuition was already covered by academic awards and internships. The little help my parents gave came with constant reminders of how generous they were being. Then Emily got engaged, and nothing else mattered after that. Every family conversation turned into wedding talk. Every holiday became a planning session. My parents poured money into venues, flowers, photographers, events I'd never even heard of. It wasn't a wedding. It was the Emily show. Then the demands started landing on me. I was expected at every planning meeting, every rehearsal, every family dinner tied to the wedding, no matter what deadlines I had. Whenever I said no, even politely, my parents acted personally offended. 3 weeks before the wedding, my phone rang. My father. And the second he started talking, I realized he still thought he had control over my life. No small talk. "You've been disappointing this family lately," he said. I leaned back and let him go. "You keep skipping wedding stuff. Emily's hurt. Your mother's upset. Honestly, we're all tired of your attitude." I almost laughed. For months, every single conversation had somehow become about Emily's wedding. Nobody asked about my job. Nobody asked about my plans. The only thing they seemed to want from me was obedience. Then came the ultimatum. "If you don't show up and support your sister properly, we're done paying your tuition." There it was, the same threat they'd used for years whenever they wanted control. Except this time it didn't land, because the version of me they thought they were talking to didn't exist anymore. I'd graduated almost 6 months earlier. Not only that, I'd landed a remote job with a growing software company right after. Better pay than I'd expected straight out of school. With bonuses and contract work, I was already out earning Emily's fiancé. Nobody in my family knew, not because I was hiding it, but because nobody had ever asked. My father kept going. "You need to remember who helped get you where you are." I looked out the window and let him finish. "Of course," I said calmly. His confidence came right back. He thought he'd won. When the call ended, I just sat there smiling. For the first time, they were pulling on a string that wasn't attached to anything anymore. Over the next 2 weeks, Emily's demands somehow got even bigger. She wanted me at rehearsals, wanted me helping guests, wanted expensive gifts, wanted a speech praising her and her fiancé. I agreed to all of it. which caught everyone off guard. My parents got cheerful again. Emily acted victorious. They assumed the tuition threat had knocked me back in line. I let them believe it. 2 days before the wedding, I got a copy of the reception program. The second I read it, I understood exactly why they wanted me there so badly. The wedding was held on a Saturday afternoon at a country club, just outside the city. The moment I walked in, something felt off. My family was cheerful in a way that didn't feel like normal wedding day happy. More like they were all in on something and waiting for it to happen. Emily floated around greeting guests like a celebrity. My mother trailed behind her, making sure everyone knew how much work had gone into the day. My father barely looked at me, just patted my shoulder. "Glad you finally came to your senses." I smiled and said nothing. The ceremony was normal: vows, applause, photos, dinner. The real event started during the reception. Printed inside the program was a section called Family Tributes. A few relatives were scheduled to speak, including my parents. The first speeches were harmless: friends, stories, congratulations. Then my mother stood up. She started with Emily's achievements: school, career, relationship, but slowly shifted into sacrifice. The sacrifices parents make, the financial support, the years of hard work. She kept mentioning how much help she and my father had given their children. I knew exactly where this was going. Then my father took the mic. He wasn't subtle at all. He praised Emily and her husband as examples of responsibility and success. Then he moved on to me. Not by name at first, just enough for everyone to catch on. He talked about younger family members who still need guidance, people who should appreciate parental support, people who aren't quite established yet. Heads turned my way. I understood the whole plan right then. They wanted to paint Emily and her new husband as the successful adults, and me as the struggling sibling who still leaned on mom and dad. Then came the final line. My father smiled at the room and brought up the tuition money he was still paying. A few guests nodded sympathetically. Emily looked thrilled with herself. Then he turned and held the mic out to me, expecting gratitude. Instead, he handed me the whole room. I stood up and took it. Dead silence. My father looked satisfied. My mother smiled, waiting. Emily sat next to her new husband like she was expecting applause. I took a breath. "First," I said, "I'd like to congratulate Emily and Ryan. I genuinely wish you both a happy future." Polite nods, including from my parents. I also want to thank my family for all the support they've given me over the years. My father's smile got even wider. It didn't last. Although, I have to admit, I was a little surprised to hear so much concern tonight about my tuition. A few soft laughs from the crowd. Not from my parents. The reason I was surprised is because I graduated 6 months ago. The room went completely still. My mother's smile froze. My father blinked twice. Emily looked lost. I kept going. I graduated early, thanks to scholarships, internships, and a lot of late nights. A few surprised glances passed through the guests. I accepted a full-time position shortly after, and I've been working ever since. Now people were actually listening, the kind of attention my family never gave me. I wasn't angry. I wasn't attacking anyone. I was just saying what was true. My parents may not have known that, since we've mostly talked about wedding plans for the past year. A few uncomfortable laughs. My father's face went red. "The good news," I said calmly, "is that nobody needs to worry about my tuition anymore. It's already handled." I paused. The room leaned in. As for financial stability, I'm doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. Emily's husband shifted in his seat. I wasn't trying to embarrass him. I was just correcting the story that had been told about me all night. My careers made me completely independent. Honestly, my income is already higher than I expected to be at this point in my life. Stunned silence. The story my parents had spent the whole evening building was falling apart in real time. Just when I thought the moment was over, a guest near the front raised her hand. Wait, if you graduated 6 months ago, did your parents come to your graduation? Dead silence again. I looked at my parents. Neither of them said a word. So I answered, no. They were touring wedding venues that weekend. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Others suddenly understood a lot more than I'd actually said out loud. Nobody needed it explained. The pattern spoke for itself. My parents tried to change the subject. Emily tried to steer the room back to the reception. But the mood had already shifted. The story everyone believed didn't match reality anymore. I handed the mic back, congratulated the newlyweds one more time, and sat down. Not long after, I quietly left the reception. Outside, I felt lighter than I had in years. The funny thing is, I never wanted revenge. I just wanted the truth out. Over the months that followed, my career kept growing. New opportunities showed up. My savings grew. Most importantly, I stopped measuring my worth through my family's approval. Eventually, my parents reached out. For the first time, I set clear boundaries, and for the first time, they had no leverage left. Because the biggest lesson I learned was simple. My parents thought tuition gave them power over my future. What they never realized was that I'd already built one without them. Sometimes the people who underestimate you the most are the ones who think they know you best.